Least alcoholic. I realize why I get so nervous speaking here, and it's just because there's such high standards here with the speakers that we get, because I've never really been nervous getting up in front of people and sharing, but there's always phenomenal speakers here, so I feel a lot of pressure. Anyways, my sobriety date is August 11th, 2014, and Paramount Speakers is my home group, and my sponsor is Lori S., and I'm really grateful for those three things. They're stable in my life today. Okay, so I'm going to share in a general way what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like today. I know I don't agree with everybody, but I believe I was born an alcoholic. I believe I had the alcoholic gene. It runs in my family. I wasn't around any alcoholics. My parents didn't drink. They didn't like the effect it produced. They didn't want to feel out of control, and I could not comprehend that because that's exactly why I drank. But my mom has stories about how she'd have big parties, and from the age of 2, I would drink people's alcohol that they left behind, and I liked the effect that it produced. And when I was 6, I used to make mixed drinks for my grandpa, and my cousin and I bring them, and of course we'd fill them too full so we could sip off the top, and the point was to get a buzz. So I do believe I was alcoholic. I always wanted more from the very beginning. I did drink as much as I could, as often as I could. I was stealing liquor from my parents' liquor cabinet, and they never even thought that I was. And I think I was like 8, and I had it in a water bottle, and my mom wanted a sip of my water, and I was like, no. And she's like, quit being such a brat. And she took a drink of it, and she sprayed it all over the window. And at that point, she started marking the alcohol bottles because she thought maybe I had a problem. And so by the age of 15, I was drinking every night to blackout. I don't remember how I got home. I woke up in strange places and couldn't tell you a lot of what I did. And I decided that maybe I had a problem with alcohol. Maybe I'm alcoholic, so let's stop drinking and let's switch to drugs because I can control those. And so I proceeded to just do just that. I knew that I could never have more than 2 drinks because if I had more than 2 drinks, I couldn't stop. So I thought, well, I can control the drugs. And so I did it as often as I could on the weekends and stuff, but I tried to stick with school and my responsibilities and working, and I got a full scholarship for college, academic, and I thought on the outside that I looked okay, and so I didn't have a problem. And I thought if I ever stuck a needle in my arm, then I really have a problem. That's what drug addicts do. I somehow thought that if I could control the drugs, I wasn't a drug addict. But ultimately, that's what I ended up doing. And so I called my mom, and I told her I think I need to go to jail because I had gotten a DUI when I was 19. I got a DUI, not from alcohol, but that's what they pled it down to. But it was the only time I was able to stay off something for a period of time. And so my mom, not knowing anything about alcoholism, had a coworker, and she was discussing it with him, and he said she needs to go to rehab. And so she flew me out here from Georgia and put me in the hospital, and I stayed there for 28 days. And they told me that I needed to move into a recovery house, and I couldn't go back, and not having a car, a job, anything. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a choice. So I went to rehab, and then I went to a recovery house, and I did what they told me to do. And just because I didn't have a choice. And I worked the 12 steps, and I got a sponsor, and I got this really amazing, beautiful life. And I stayed in the rooms for 11 years. Then I worked the program, and I kind of thought maybe I needed to be more responsible as a mom, and maybe I should cut back a little on doing AA. And ultimately, my disease tricked me into thinking that maybe I was an alcoholic. Maybe I was just a drug addict, and now that I had worked the steps and dealt with all my issues, that maybe I could drink like a lady. And I decided that I was going to have a drink. And when I had gotten sober, they didn't have fruity vodkas, and so I was all excited. I wanted to go out and try all the different flavors. And so I got my husband to take me out, and we bought all these different flavors, and they tasted like shit. So sorry. I thought they were going to taste good, and they didn't. But my husband, not really ever seeing me drink, was like, oh, I think you've had enough, let's go to bed. And what he didn't understand was that I hadn't had enough. I didn't even feel buzzed, and I thought, I'm not going to throw away 11 years of sobriety and not be wasted. So I laid in bed, and I waited till he fell asleep, and then I tiptoed to the garage to get more. and I was drinking it, and he opened the door, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was chugging it. He said, "Oh, I had an uncle that was alcoholic. I've never seen anyone like this." And I'm fighting with him, and I'm trying to get as much down as I can. And he said, I think you need AA. And the next morning, he drove me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And that was the beginning of my 3-year trip to AA. And I kept coming to meetings, and I raised my hand as a newcomer for 3 years. And it got to be the point where I didn't even mind anymore raising my hand as a newcomer, and that's a really scary place to be. And I met somebody at a meeting in Fullerton. That it was a 12 and 12 meeting, and there was something about this meeting I kept coming to because there was depth and weight in the meeting, and I didn't know that this was their home group. And so I went up to this group of people and wanted to kind of see where they were going, and I got a sponsor. And they brought me here, and I thought, I don't want to drive all the way from Orange County out to Paramount. That's so far. And it took me a while. I think it took me 8 months when she was sponsoring me to finally give in and come out here. And I met Maureen. And at the time, my mom, she's had cancer since 2010. And I'd been stealing her morphine and all her Percocet and Dilaudid. And so I really didn't realize that I had a problem as bad as I did. And Maureen told me, I'll never forget, it was her birthday, which she told me to go home and write about what I was doing. And I remember beginning the letter saying, I have no idea why I'm writing this. This is a big fat waste of time. And I wrote, and it was 2 hours later, I had this epiphany that I was going down that same path that I had gone down when I was younger, and my life was out of control, and I definitely needed to change. I don't know, I had a spiritual awakening or something, and I decided I needed to change stuff. So I got a home group, I got consistent meetings, I got commitments, and I started doing the deal again. And I'm really, really grateful because the people that are part of Paramount, they had a routine and they had a lot of depth and weight in these meetings, and so I started coming on a regular basis, and I am so incredibly grateful to get back whatever I had before. And I truly believe and know to the core of me that I am alcoholic. I'm always going to be alcoholic, and I can pick up a drink at any point. So I have to do certain things. I have to go to meetings at least 3 a week, if not more. I mean, I do have 3 kids, a full-time job, and other responsibilities, but I have to go to a minimum of 3 meetings a week. I need to work the steps. I need to call my sponsor every day, which I try to do, really. And I have to work with others, and it's strange because I've had a lot of life-changing things happen in the last 6 months, and if anything, I've had life happen, and I'm surprised that I've actually attracted more newcomers who want to work with me when I've been going through and trudging this road, and it's just absolutely amazing, and I feel so incredibly blessed to have so many wonderful women in my life that I get to share this program with, and I get it today. When there are people in here that can't get sober and they keep coming, I used to criticize them. I used to say, why don't you just listen to your sponsor? Why don't you just get commitments? Why don't you? And I get it today. They haven't been given grace. And so now that I have it, I don't want to lose it. So I'm willing to go to any length. That means that I do the same thing every week. I get on my knees, I pray in the morning, I do my 11th step at night, I reach my hand out to those newcomers because they're my lifeline. The truth is that there's nothing new in these steps. There's nothing new. There's all kinds of other programs out there that have the fundamental principles. The difference is that we have identification in these rooms. I get it and you get it, and I need that because these steps make me normal. And so people see me and they think I'm normal, and I'm not normal. My thinking is not normal. I wake up and my thoughts are not normal, and I have a sponsor that I get to run things by, and I'm so incredibly grateful because she can either say, no, that's way off base, or she can say, yeah, I think you were connected to that source, and I think you're going in the right direction, and that's the reason I have a sponsor, because my alcoholism doesn't go away just because I come in here and I start to resemble this normal life. And so for me, I do believe that I need to work with a newcomer. I need to really stay close with the people that are coming in because it reminds me exactly who I am. And that's the difference between the principles and all those other 12-step, or not 12-step, all the other programs out there, like church and stuff. I try to do that, but the difference is that they aren't alcoholic. They don't get it. They can have one. And if I go out there and I try to implement these principles out there and they're having one, thank you, then I'm going to start to think that I can do one, and I can't. because I'm alcoholic, and one is never enough. And what's the point anyway? So, anyways, I'm so glad this is over. And thanks for letting me share.